When we talk about GitHub projects, we're really talking about a modern way to plan, track, and manage work that lives right along your code. My name is Peter Ditender, a lead technical trainer here at Microsoft. In this module, I'll guide you through how developers, as well as DevOps engineers like yourself, can use GitHub projects to bring clarity to your workloads, aligning tasks with engineering activity, and collaborate more effectively. Let me set the stage for what we'll explore together. GitHub Projects gives you a workspace where you can gather all your issues, ideas, and plans into a single project space. Whether you're working on a small personal repo or this large multi-team environment. As we walk through this module, I'll show you how to build a fresh project from scratch, customizing it so it fits in the way you work, and start shaping it into a practical planning tool that truly supports your development flow. We'll also look at the organizational side, meaning how you can automate repetitive updates, track work in progress, and collaborate smoothly with teammates. You'll discover how GitHub Projects helps you keep your planning in sync with your code activity, so you're not constantly jumping between tools or copying updates manually. The idea is to give you a system that works for you, not the other way around. Now, the starting point. What are GitHub projects? Think of it as a planning layer on top of your repositories, one that brings together issues, pull requests, as well as tasks from anywhere across your organization. Instead of bouncing between different repos to understand the status of your work, projects let you visualize everything in one single central place. It's designed so you can track progress, immediately spot bottlenecks, and align your team's efforts without losing time on context switching. What makes projects especially powerful is just how flexible it is. You can view your work as a table, as a board, or even as a timeline. Whichever perspective helps you most. Whether you're organizing engineering tasks, planning sprints, or keeping track of ongoing initiatives, you can shift views quickly and shape them to match your workflow. It's an all-in-one planning system that adapts to what developers and DevOps engineers like you actually need. Every GitHub project is made up of a few core building blocks. We got items, fields, views, and filters. Items are basically your units of work. They might come from issues, maybe from pull requests, or even be created directly inside the project as a standalone task. What's great is that real issues, as well as PRs, stay connected. So when someone updates them in GitHub, your project reflects those changes automatically. To help you manage these items, Projects gives you both standard as well as customizable fields. Things like, for example, status, SNEs, story points, business value, or custom labels your team relies on. You can use these to create views that are tailored to specific audiences. Maybe a table view for like triaging, maybe a board for day-to-day development, or maybe a roadmap that shows different phases over time. Filters then help you narrow things down so you're always seeing only what's relevant, keeping your space clean and digestible. Automation is one of my favorite parts of GitHub projects because in the end, it saves so much manual work. So here, you'll learn how rules can automatically update your items based on events that happen somewhere in GitHub. For example, when someone closes an issue or merges a pull request, your project can instantly update that status, assign an iteration, or move the item to the appropriate column. This heavily reduces the tendency for projects to drift out of sync with reality. These automations also ensure that your project reflects the real state of your codebase without requiring you to babysit it. Labels changing, milestones shifting, issues opening or closing. All of these events can feed into the rules you set up. The result is that project that stays accurate and up to date while you can focus on writing code, not micromanaging your tools. Apart from built-in rules, GitHub Actions allows you to automate even more advanced workflows. Actions can interact with your project fields to create, update, or triage items across repositories. This is especially useful in DevOps environments where CI/CD signals can automatically drive project activity. For instance, you might set up an action so that when a build passes, the related task is marked as ready for review. Workflow templates also help guide common processes like bug triaging, sprint planning, or release coordination. These templates give you a strong starting point and help your team adopt consistent operational patterns. So with the right automations in place, your project becomes a living system that responds intelligently to work as it happens. Now, when it comes to organizing your project, prioritization plays an essential role. So let me explain how adding priority fields helps you understand what deserves your attention first. You can categorize your issues as well as PRs, then group them so it's crystal clear which work should take precedence. Being able to visualize work by priority makes planning conversations so much smoother. Next to that, we also have iterations that help you structure your work over time. Whether you call them sprints or phases or cycles, iterations, right? They let you assign work to specific periods, so you get a forward-looking view of upcoming activity. And then, of course, switching to board view gives you that visual drag and drop experience that many teams find intuitive. By creating and saving views that fit your workflows, you give yourself and your team a predictable rhythm to operate in. Next to that, let's look at the governance side of your project, where you specify who can see your project and who can contribute to it. Similar to repos, right? You can make your project public or private, depending on whether you want to share it broadly or restrict it to your team only. Changing the visibility is pretty straightforward, and it ensures your data is exposed only to the right audience. Managing access is just as flexible. You can add collaborators individually, you can invite whole teams, or you can bring even outside contributors whenever needed. Each person can be given a role that defines what they can do, whether it's simply viewing the project, making changes, or becoming an admin of it. This level of control helps you maintain structure, protect your project configuration, and ensure people have the right level of influence. And then this slide here wants me to remind you how GitHub Projects compares to the older Projects Classic system. Classic honestly worked well for a while, but the new Projects offers far more flexibility, better views, and automation that's integrated directly with GitHub's modern workflows. So instead of sticking to predefined columns and static cards, the new project framework gives you dynamic layouts, custom fields, and fluid ways to visualize your work. What you see here is how Insights helps you understand your project through data. GitHub Projects can automatically generate charts like this one that show how work is distributed, whether by team member, by label, or by iteration. These visualizations make it easy to spot trends, such as who might be overloaded or whether certain types of work are starting to pile up. These charts are not just visual appealing. They're practical tools for guiding conversations. So if you're planning a sprint or reviewing progress, having that clear breakdown of issues or tasks lets you make immediate decisions based on actual data instead of assumptions. So it's a great way to bring clarity and objectivity into your planning process. Historical insights go even deeper by giving you charts that track your project's evaluation over time. So this screenshot here is a sample on how time-based views help you monitor progress, understand how quickly work is flowing, and identify patterns in your team's delivery. So for example, burn-up charts can show how completed work is trending compared to total scope, helping you understand whether you're on track or maybe falling behind. These insights don't just show what's happening. They should help you reasoning about why it's actually happening. So when you can see work building up or maybe slowing down, you can take action sooner. For engineering teams, this kind of visibility is tremendously invaluable because it keeps your planning grounded in reality instead of guesswork. I think with all that, it's time for another demo moment where I'm going to tie everything together. You'll see how to create a fresh GitHub project, how to add items to it, and integrate those items with issues from your repositories. I'm going to walk you through managing your project using a couple of different views and how insights give you a richer understanding of your workload. The main goal of this demo is to show you how simple it is to bring structure to your development process. And once you see the workflow in action, you'll understand how Project supports everything from daily task management to feature planning and sprint reviews. So let me show you what it takes to create a project, navigate a project, linking it to issues. That's really the core of what the demo is going to show you. There's a couple of different ways to create a project. So the first is starting from your account level. So I'm still the same PE tender on the account level, and I can navigate to projects. I already have a few projects. Most of these are like quick demos like the one I'm going to walk you through. But you can see that most of these are flagged as private. Now keep in mind, as I mentioned during the presentation, you can create private projects, but you could also create public projects. The mindset is identical to the nature of the repo. Is it visibility public, meaning open source? Most probably, you're going to link it to a public project as well. But you don't have to, because there might be scenarios that as an internal product team or project team, you want to work on this, but you're still managing an open source environment. So a couple of different options there. I'll start from the top. So I'm in my account, individual personal account or organizational account. You already know because we talked about this, and I'm going to create a new project. One of the nice things is that GitHub gives me different project templates. I'm not going to walk you through all the options here, but imagine you want to use this for team planning, maybe not even like DevOps specific related. You could use that for like scheduling, defining who's going to work on what, and so on. You could also use the Agile Scrum popular version of the reporting, the viewing, what your project team actually works on and what the efforts look like. And that's what we call a Kanban board. And those are not the only ones. So again, there's a pretty extensive list. I'm going to use the team planning just to pick the first one, making it easy for my demo. And this is where you can immediately see that there is a nice integration with GitHub issues. Didn't really talk about issues a lot, but it's really the terminology that GitHub uses linked to a specific repo where you can literally identify bugs, issues, but also other kinds of tasks that you want your team or the open source contributors are actually working on. You don't have to import anything, and you can also import pull requests and then obviously issues and pull requests together. I'm not going to import anything for now and just creating the project. I'll give it a little bit more of a descriptive title. So this would be the DemoCats project, where now we can link it to a repo. Now there's again a couple of different options here. So I started from my account level. I'm going to create a project where now technically you could use this to just do project management, not even related to code base repos. Or you could now link it to a specific repo. And I'm going to use my DemoCats from earlier, which now means that every issue that we have automatically belongs to the project. And this is my demo project. Same as always, little README file. We got the markdown that we talked about just a couple of minutes ago in the previous session. I'm going to save my changes and I can complete a lot more parameters. I'm not going to walk you through all of this because it's like really just setting the scene. Like you can take this as far as you want. So you can define the size, like what is the size of my team, which means how many contributors, how many internal contributors, what is the amount of time in typically hours they can work on this, and then also the iterations, like the typically weekly, sometimes 3 weekly sprints, if you follow the agile methodology, just highlighting like what is the timeline, maybe the deadline for each and every of the tasks. A start date, a target date, like again defining the deadlines and the milestones. You can add additional labeling like tagging to it to make it a lot more complete, as clear as possible for everyone, like working with the project, looking into the details. So if I switch to a somewhat more complete project and I open the board view, I'm inside the project. We have the backlog, team capacity, current iteration, like where in this timeline of the project are we exactly today when I'm looking into it. And you can customize a lot. So what I did here is starting without a template, and I'm creating my own spaces. I create a category to do, which means this is all the work that we have to get done by the end of the project. Obviously, from there, we have a status in progress and done. This is like probably the most easy project design ever. And what we can do now is, for example, moving items from one location to another, which is immediately in the backend, immediately updating the status. As I talked about in the presentation, you can integrate automation using actions. But since we don't talk about GitHub Actions pipelines at all in the Foundations class, I decided to not make it harder and not talking about agents and pipelines as part of this, not even for the project management. But I could still create a new item, and let's do something is wrong, which is probably not the best description for the issue. Problem here, we're gonna create it and then we can open it. And a few things I want to highlight from here. Remember in a previous part of the demo, in a different module, we talked about that auto linking. So this is now where you can automatically link to an issue. So this is issue number 9. It's going to show me immediately where in this repo this problem actually comes up. So I can use that as that easy cross-linking. I can navigate to other parts. For this specific item, I can now identify the priority. So it's priority 1, the size in X amount of hours. And this is where, again, you can customize the labeling. So I created like what we call t-shirt sizes, right? So let's say this is medium, which could reflect you can spend like maybe 8 hours, like a typically 1 day of work. Or you can fine tune it a lot more where it's medium estimate, but it's still reflecting 12 hours. And the start date is today. And since it's like 12 hours, then let's make sure we can finish it tomorrow. But it doesn't need to be tomorrow because it could be 12 hours in total, but maybe stretched over the timeline, like 2 weeks, 3 days, and whatnot. So again, a lot of flexibility. From here, we can move this a little bit more into like the DevOps mindset. And that means we can now create a specific branch. So imagine that we have a problem here, something's wrong, we need to test, we need to update code, maybe some bug fixing. Where now we're going to create a branch, we're going to link it to the pull requests, and that's where now the project methodology and the project management is bringing all those pieces together. When I close this and I navigate to my demo cats repo, I can navigate to basically the exact same thing, but this time I'm starting from my repo and I'm going to create a project. So instead of creating the project on the higher level and then linking it to the repo, you're starting from the repo and linking the project. But then also out of this, we have our standalone issues. Now you have two options here. So you could just create issues and never using projects within GitHub because maybe your project is, at least for now, so small. Or the other example, you might have another project management tool within your organization, like Azure DevOps boards, maybe Jira, maybe another product, not too important. That's mainly what I wanted to share about GitHub Projects. To wrap things up, let me recap what you should now feel comfortable doing with GitHub Projects. You've learned how to build as well as customize a project, bring in tasks from your repositories, and set up the structure that makes your work visible and manageable. You've also explored automations, insights, access controls, and a couple of different views that help you adapt projects to a wide range of workflows. By integrating planning directly into GitHub, you create a more seamless development experience. One where your work, your code, your discussions all stay connected. My hope is that you'll take these concepts back to your own projects and then start shaping them into spaces that serve your team's need more effectively. As always, remember there are many different ways to continue your learning journey. Whether learning more about GitHub in this video series or finding your next learning path on ak.ms/learn. As always, I'm excited to have you here with me learning GitHub foundations together. My next module will be very appealing to those developers and DevOps engineers who are not always working from your local machine. I would say buckle up because we're going to fly to GitHub code spaces.